after the war, our parents kind of pushed us to be 100% American so that there wouldn't be any question about our loyalty to the United States or.
Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Takashi from Japan. So today, I'm gonna interview Japanese American Nikkei person who spent all his life in America. His experiences traveling to Japan and living in America, Los Angeles. Okay, let's find out today. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you for taking time.
Okay. Where do you want me to look? You or the camera?
Around here.
Okay.
Can you introduce yourself first?
My name is Brian Kito, owner of the FUGETSU-DO confectionery.
In Little Tokyo, Los Angeles.
In Little Tokyo, Los Angeles. Our business is started in 1903 by my grandfather, and I am currently the third generation, Sandaime.
So your whole life was in America, basically?
Correct. I was born here, so was my father, but my father was raised from 1-year-old to 16. He was raised in Japan, and he returned back to the United States when he was 16, and that was, 1935.
You're Japanese American.
Yes.
So what does it mean? You're Japanese, but you're from America. Like, how do you describe?
Well, I'm 100% Nikkei. I'm American. Maybe my base outside, the way I present myself is as American, but inside I have a lot of Japanese heart. You know, the Sansei generation not many speak Japanese, and that's unfortunate, but that's because of World War II. And like my parents were married in Hart Mountain, Wyoming during the concentration camps during World War II. That generation, that Nisei generation that were put in camps, when they came back out, they basically wanted their children not to reflect the Japanese culture so much as being 100% American. And I think that's why you find that Japanese American are a little bit detached from the Japanese culture, like compared to like Korean or Chinese. Many third generation, of course, they speak their language. But we grew up in a different era, and the Japanese are probably the only ones of the Asian races here that have become more mainstream than most immigrant population. You know, here in the United States, we have a variety of many different nationalities, and it's like a melting pot here, they call it. But in Japan, I mean, you're basically 95% or 99% might be Japanese. So it's a much different world in Japan compared to here. The culture is so much stronger in Japan, but yet the newer generations of Japanese in Japan have become more westernized, I can see. And because of internet and online, the culture's spread over in your generation more so than it did in mine. But I believe that most Japanese American, like for example, when we watch the Olympics, we're American, right? But we root for both American and Japanese.
You root for both?
Yeah, of course, because we relate to the Japanese because we are of Japanese blood, and so it's an interesting partnership in a way, in that the Japanese American are proud to be Japanese culture, but they're also proud to be American culture too.
Have you ever lived in Japan?
No, I have never lived there per se, no.
But you've been there a lot?
I've been there probably more than 20 times.
Have you ever considered to live there? Or?
Yeah, I thought at one point there are different places in Japan that I admire, and so I thought maybe there's certain places in Japan that I wouldn't mind living. And
like?
I like Sendai.
Sendai? Oh, I've never been there.
Well, Sendai is, every time I go to Japan now, over the last 12, 15 years, I stop at Sendai every time I go. So even my last trip, although I had to go to Kyushu, I went all the way to Sendai to visit my friends there. Yeah.
When you were young, when you went to local American school, or you went to Japanese school, or?
No, all my brother, I'm the youngest of 4 children. My brother's the eldest, I'm the youngest, and I have 2 sisters. I'm the only one that didn't go to Japanese school, because by the time I was of age to go, my brother and my sisters were able to kind of, they didn't like going to Japanese school, so basically it stopped about the time I would have started. It pretty much stopped there. But currently, although I didn't go to Japanese school, probably I speak more Japanese than my brother and my sisters. My wife is Japanese. Also, too, is because I do business in Little Tokyo, I think I'm exposed to Japanese speaking much more than my brother and my sisters.
What level you think your Japanese is?
I'm probably about a 3-year-old.
Really?
Maybe.
Oh, so most of the
Maybe,
time,
maybe not. I don't know. Maybe I hope 3-year-old, but that's a problem because when I go to Japan, it's pretty easy to see I'm gaijin, and I'm pretty sure that people can tell I'm gaijin right away.
oh, the way you
Just
talk.
a mustache and maybe the way I dress.
How do you feel about it? Even your ethnicity is Japanese, and then you're Japanese American, but when you go to Japan, people think you're foreigners, right?
Yeah.
How do you feel?
It
You
doesn't-
don't mind, or
it doesn't really feel that good, but the Japanese society in general are so welcoming to all groups, and so I don't know if I'm any different than anyone else that's a foreigner, but hopefully they see me as a since I am of Japanese ancestry, 100%. I would hope that they would see me in a little bit different light. But I think I pose a problem for them because I look Japanese, but I don't speak fluent Japanese. So, but I speak fluent English.
have you ever had negative experiences, or it can be positive experience because you're Japanese American? Like, have
I
you?
have both. I benefit by being Japanese American, especially here because I'm in Little Tokyo. But of course, yeah, there is prejudice throughout certain times of my life. Definitely not as bad as my parents' time or my grandparents' time. I'm sure that I experienced much less prejudice than they did.
Because of the war?
World War II, and also too as being the Issei generation, of course that was there were laws preventing Japanese from owning property in the United States, and prevented Chinese too, Asians basically. But I think currently, especially the Japanese American, they're very highly educated, and probably the highest of all minorities in the United States, and they also. They're so American that they marry outside of Japanese more than 50%.
Oh, really?
And Japanese American are the only minority that does that. That's why the pure Japanese, full Japanese population in the United States is shrinking because there's interracial marriages are so big.
Can I ask why is it? Why Japanese
I-
in America tend to marry non-Japanese people in America?
I'm not really sure, but I think, after the war, our parents kind of pushed us to be 100% American so that there wouldn't be any question about our loyalty to the United States or, what have you. I think they pushed us to become full-blooded American. They did give us some culture, but I think the very most important thing was to make sure that we were viewed as American. I think that plays in the culture of the Japanese American third generation and fourth generation is that, that we don't see a limit of just being only with Japanese or Japanese American. We see ourselves as a full-blooded American. So I guess there was not a stigma about marrying outside of being Japanese. I'm sure the Nisei generation parents probably dreamt of their children marrying a Japanese or Japanese American, but the truth of the matter is I don't think they fought it like maybe other nationalities do within the United States. I think the Nisei generation is much more lenient as far as us, my generation, becoming just fully mixed in with the rest of the United States.
Do you regret that you didn't learn Japanese to be able to speak Japanese fluently? It might be like a little bit tricky question, but
Yes, no, that's a very good question. As a Japanese American, yes, I've always regretted not speaking Japanese. When I graduated from college in 1981, I was supposed to go to Japan for a year. The target was to be able to be Japanese speaking. Unfortunately, my father lost a business on 2nd Street, a bakery. And so at that time, I had to stay here and take care of the legal matters. And I was fresh out of college, and my aunt was waiting for me because my aunt was living in Tokyo by herself. And they expected me to come and stay with them. And she didn't speak English, or she understood a little bit of English. It was an ideal situation for me. But yes, I always regret not spending that year in Japan right out of college.
But from
So for, like, currently my son, the plan for my son is to finish school and to go to Japan
to live there.
and to live there for a year. And
The thing you couldn't do it.
correct. And also too is because his mother is Japanese, especially so he can speak fluently to his own cousins and aunties and uncles. It would be immensely important for him. And also, if he does take over the business, it'd be such an advantage to him because it was a handicap for me to run a Japanese business, mochi business, and yet I didn't speak fluent Japanese. So I think it's much easier to run a business like mine if you can speak both Japanese and English. So it's been a challenge for me, but I've had to work around it. It's something that's a handicap, but I didn't let it become a handicap to me. But it'd be so much easier if, like, say, my son wanted to speak Japanese. That would be great for him.
Can you show us your Japanese?
No,
just a little bit, just
no.
a little bit. Like, じゃあなんか日本の場所でどこが一番好きですか？
I think Basho is the area?
そうです。なんかシティとか
Okay.
どこですか？
I like Sendai 一番好きの。
仙台が一番。
Sendai と名古屋。
名古屋。
名古屋 is 同じ、ロサンゼルスの同じちょっと。Like Tokyo is like New York.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And Los Angeles and Nagoya are very similar.
From now on, how often do you want to visit Japan? Or
Well, for my business, I usually travel there almost every year.
oh,
And if I don't go every year, every other year. Yeah, I've been going there, I think, since 1981. And then I would go every 4 years for the trade show. And then about after I got married, I started going there almost every year.
yeah, because she's from there.
Yeah. Going to Japan is obviously a great place to go. It's beautiful countryside, especially in the spring and the fall. The summers are terribly humid and hot,
Yeah.
so I don't suggest to go during those months. Sakura time is probably the most beautiful place in the world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
You're
Thank you for taking time for me.
You're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for watching so far. How was it? That was interesting. As a Japanese person from Japan, born and raised in Japan, I didn't think we learned in school that Japanese people exist in America, exist in the world. That was really good opportunity for me to know about other culture, even it's Japan, even it's related to Japan. Okay, anyway, thank you for watching so far. If you like this video, click like button, please subscribe to my channel. See you next time.